Okay, right from the start, here's my receipt for this Dyson V11. I paid for this myself, and this review isn't paid for by Dyson or anything like that. You can see here that I paid £600 of my own money for this. You can't get any more evidence than that. And we should probably just get cost out of the way first. £600 is a lot of money for a vacuum cleaner. But it costs what it costs, and you get what you pay for in this case. It's technically not overpriced, it's premium, and premium products always have a premium surcharge. Just look around. I will point out that it's way cheaper than some truly overpriced vacuum cleaners out there, like the multi-thousand-pound Kirby or Vorwerk rip-offs that are genuinely inferior. My testing of the Kirby, shown in the first link in the description and reviewed in the second link, revealed just how bad it was, despite the price and reputation. That's overpriced junk. Even competitors, such as cheap knockoff products from Shark, charge almost as much, but perform dreadfully in comparison, despite that high cost, as others have shown. So at least you actually do get what you pay for with this Dyson. So that's cost out of the way, now I can focus on the other really good things. This machine is truly peerless. It's only when you get one do you really appreciate what it adds to the V10, despite technically only being an evolutionary revision rather than a unique, revolutionary game changer like the V10 was. It adds a lot of really useful features and slick refinements to the amazing V10, which was already the best vacuum out there, and light years beyond the competition, and takes off so far beyond them that they really need to start pulling their fingers out. Dyson are literally monopolising the advanced cordless cleaner tech space, and that's because their model is to invest in research and development with the sole intention of producing the absolute best technology, rather than make a fast buck by selling badly designed, inferior knockoff tech to vulnerable people who don't know any better. Dyson's technology, especially the digital motor, is about a decade beyond the competition. That's how far ahead they are now, while everyone else has stagnated. It's an observed fact that Dyson lead and innovate where the lesser follow, aka cheaply clone at the expense of everyone else, as discussed in the third description link. Let's just get straight to the money shots before the rest of the review. I've measured its cleaning performance following the method outlined in the video in the fourth link in the description. Both surface and deep cleaning performance testing is done on the most difficult carpet type to clean, namely a deep pile fitted carpet with non-porous liquid resistant backing. This testing is done in a way that doesn't allow for trickery, cheating, or dodgy bypassing of machine limitations, as is often seen in most of the amateur testing on YouTube, including some very popular channels, which isn't so good. This machine has 3 different power modes: Eco, Auto and Boost, and the new floor head has 3 heights for the front large debris channels: minus, i.e. fully open, arrow, i.e. midway, and plus, i.e. fully closed. These all affect suction pressure, so I tested all 9 combinations to see how cleaning performance was affected. This is the full dataset for deep cleaning. There's a lot of data there, so I'll break it down and pick out the interesting things from this. Firstly, removing dirt from a carpet is a stochastic process, and all vacuums leave something behind. More dirt is removed initially simply because there's more available, and less is removed when there's less available to be removed. Sounds obvious, right? But this is widely misunderstood, especially by many channels on YouTube. Dirt concentrations initially are unrealistically high, but later become nearer real world like you'd actually have in your home. So how well cleaners do in this region is most important. It's actually much harder to remove lower dirt concentrations from a carpet for that same statistical reason. I've shown previously that brute force alone doesn't achieve the best results, and you need really good design of cleaner head. This is why the Kirby failed so badly compared to the V10. This fact is also nicely shown in this new data, as I'll come on to. As you'd expect, the higher the motor power, the better cleaning performance you get, because there's more suction to sustain airflow through the deeper pile. But what really stands out is how amazing auto mode performs at deep cleaning carpets. When the head's front large debris channel gates are down, it managed to remove virtually all the dust injected deep into a fitted carpet after 12 cleans using a fraction of the power of boost mode. This means you get maximal cleaning whilst draining the battery as minimally as possible, and this optimal compromise is why it's the default mode. Note that the reason why Boost Mode scored over 100% is because it's never possible to remove all the dirt from a carpet, and Boost Mode is so incredibly powerful that it managed to extract residual dirt left over in addition to the stuff added for testing. It's really difficult to push in Boost Mode with the gates down, but the cleaning is fast and extreme, and perfect for the heavy spot messes it was designed for rather than general cleaning. Another standout feature in the data is the influence of the front large debris pickup channels on suction and thus cleaning performance. As I'll discuss later, they're designed to let large particles into the head rather than snow plowing. This is mostly a problem on hard floors. But large holes at the front bypass the resistance to airflow that carpet provides, and so you lose suction because most of the air now comes in through those resistanceless holes rather than through the resistive carpet pile. This reduces carpet cleaning at depth. You can see this in the data. Boost Mode with the gates open fully deep cleans less well than Auto Mode with the gates closed, even though Auto Mode uses only a fraction of the power and battery charge. This is one of the reasons why good cleaner head design is so important, especially for cordless cleaners. If you have a poor design with suction leaks, you waste all your power, and even if you have incredible brute forcing, you still can't clean as well. This was also seen with the mains-powered Kirby, which has a relatively poor design of head that wastes its power, and it couldn't deep clean as well as the cordless V10 in its default mode too. Surface messes are easier to clean than deeper ingrained messes, but surface mess testing results showed similar trends. How well 1000 milligrams of dust could be removed from the surface of a carpet was measured. Again, Auto Mode performs exceptionally well, and with the gates closed, performs better than Boost Mode with the gates partially or fully open, removing residual dirt in addition to what was put down for the test. The summary take-home message from this data is to simply use Auto Mode with the head gates closed for maximum performance. Open the gates temporarily only when you need to pick up large particles, and by the amount determined by the size of the particles you're removing. Just use your judgment on that. But gates down should be used for best general cleaning results, and Auto gives the best battery life compromise. If it's too hard to push, then opening the gate to the degree needed to provide suction relief gives better deep cleaning results than using Eco Mode. Eco Mode is nevertheless still good, especially for above floor cleaning or surface mess cleaning, but is primarily intended for achieving longer cleaning sessions if that's how you prefer to clean. Boost Mode is again only intended for fast cleaning of heavy spot messes, like a knocked over plant pot, and not for general cleaning. Auto Mode with the gates closed gives exceptional deep cleaning and the best battery life compromise, and is presumably why it's the mode recommended by Dyson. Here's why the V11 is amazing. The entire product is an ultra-refined, streamlined, and high-tech feeling version of the V10. This isn't something you can convey on YouTube, you have to feel it and know how it compares. It's super slick. Just listen to the sound the new floor head makes. There are so many amazing practical features and benefits that elevates the V11 above anything else on the market that I'll now go through. The V10 proved that it was possible for a cordless cleaner to fully replace a mains cleaner. This is despite the naysaying by propagandists that simply hate the Dyson brand and the fact they're industry leaders rather than their favoured brand, and thus try to rubbish anything Dyson release. I got rid of my mains power cleaner when I got a V10 and never regretted it once. I'd seen the future. Performance testing shows that even without using max mode, the V10 exceeded what were considered the ultimate mains cleaners. And this cleaning performance came with all the game-changing practicality benefits of the new cordless form factor that Dyson championed and continues with the V11. Like it or not, cordless is the future, and mains cleaners are generally on the way out, just like the old-fashioned bag technology before it. It's just the competition aren't good enough and haven't reached the technical level to accelerate this process yet, but it's coming, don't worry. Dyson just got there about 10 years faster, which is rather embarrassing for the technology industry. What cordless brings is smarter, faster, easier cleaning. You can just lift it off the wall, instantly clean up a little mess, and you're done. No one did that when they had a mains cleaner, because it was just such an arse to get it out and plug it in. But the biggest change is how you generally clean. People with the V10 and V11 no longer have to do the tiring chore of the weekly mega clean. It was so easy to break it up. A room here, a room there, maybe upstairs on Monday, downstairs on Wednesday, do the front door in high traffic areas a couple of times a week, and the bedrooms every week or so, depending on mess levels. It gave so much freedom to be flexible. The mains cleaner purists and Dyson haters just couldn't grasp this, and so were desperate to rubbish the V10 by constantly focusing on battery life under the old model of a mega clean. But it just wasn't a problem with this superior bite-sized cleaning approach. This form factor is such a revolution that makes things so much easier that I'd never look back, ever, and it's about time the Luddites started to look forwards. The V11 is a few hundred grams heavier than the V10 at about 3 kilograms, mostly because of the bigger battery I'll talk about in a minute. It's still a lot lighter than most cheap knockoff cordless cleaners, which aren't even in the same league as this. Using it on carpet, you don't really notice the weight, and the biggest source of effort is that its powerful suction grips the carpet beautifully, meaning the main work is in moving it around. Using it for above floor cleaning as a handheld, you can under some circumstances feel the weight, but most of the time, you can just use your other hand to support it if you're using it outstretched. It's been widely shown on YouTube that it's now possible to fully clean even a large house in a single go. Quite why anyone would want to do that in general is a mystery now with bite-sized cleaning, but it's possible. The battery on the V11 has such a huge capacity that it actually lasts longer than both the batteries provided by lesser competitors, like the Shark or Henry cordless cleaners. Propagandists and Dyson brand haters keep this fact a bit quiet though. A single battery means you've got less charging hassle, less changing hassle, hugely cut battery pollution to the environment, and avoid the double battery cost that makes competitor models so expensive. Why have two batteries when you only need one done properly? It's a no-brainer. This doesn't stop haters from saying stupid things though, like, oh, I wouldn't buy the V11 because you can't interchange batteries. You don't need to. It's been done right. So that's stupid reasoning that makes people look dumb. And charge time really isn't an issue. You just hook it on the holder on the wall when you're not using it, and it charges in the background, always ready for next use. You don't notice the 4.5 hour recharge time. There's literally no battery management hassle, unlike competitor products which need plugging in and slotting in and out and so on. Just hassle. The V11, like its predecessor, is insanely versatile. The whole thing is fully modular, so by clicking various tools on, you can go from carpets to hard floors, to stairs and furniture, or do other above floor cleaning. In addition to the usual crevice tool and brush combo tool, you get a soft dusting brush and a mini motorised tool for stairs and pet hair on furniture. One of the greatest liberations of the cordless form factor is how easy stairs are. No hoses to wrestle or weight to carry. It takes like 1 minute to do the stairs without any major effort. Why would anyone not want that? If you want to see the worst example of how bad design can make this a nightmare, just check out the Kirby review in the second description link. The V11 also comes with a handy new wand clip which can store the two basic tools, so they're always at hand. Thankfully, the V11 isn't internet connected. Its smart features are done properly. The LCD screen on the higher end model tells you everything you need and want to know. Finally, after all the handheld generations, Dyson now tell you the remaining runtime to the second as you use it, and it live updates for each power mode. No more vague battery bar lights. It also helps you troubleshoot problems and advises when to do maintenance. It also helps give the product a really high-tech and quality feel to it. The new floor head, called the Torque Drive Motor Head, is particularly exceptional. I was always disappointed that Dyson used the old V8 direct drive cleaner head on the UK version of the V10, whereas the US release got the updated Torque Drive head. There was no excuse for that really. However, the new cleaner head on the V11 is improved and available globally. The red bristles sweep hair and particles off the carpet surface and separate pile to assist with deep cleaning. They don't make contact with the hard floor, which is instead swept by the black fibre carbon bristles and removes fine dust. Many competitor products still can't handle fine dust on hard floors. If the machine is in auto mode, then the higher resistance the brush bar experiences on carpets after moving from hard floors switches the motor power up to increase suction and airflow through the pile to ensure deep cleaning. No more manual mode switching when changing between floor types, and this gives the optimal balance between runtime and performance without any user intervention. As mentioned, the gates at the front can be opened when there's large debris to pick up. No more snow ploughing of big particles like you find on poorer cleaners. The front slider controls how open they are, with plus mode closing them off, the arrow setting opening them halfway, and the minus setting opening them fully for the largest particles. Of course, the more open they are, the bigger the suction leak you have, so the less performance you'll get on carpet, as I showed earlier. This head offers full width cleaning right to the edge, and the sides of the cleaner head also have a side suction channel, which can draw in larger particles that don't make it under. The base has a flexible, semi-hard plastic cushion, which helps to ensure a strong suction seal to the floor whilst gliding over it, avoids backscattering of particles as they're swept into the head, and helps separate pile really well for deep cleaning. This base helps the head glide so effortlessly over carpet relative to competitor products, including ones with a metal base plate. The brush bar is also driven by a clever internal motor, which means no need for old-fashioned belt drive systems, no more snapped belts, and no more ugly unswept lines in the carpet. It's the most advanced cleaner head I've ever seen, sounds like a spaceship, and is Dyson's secret to achieving incredible deep cleaning, as shown in the performance data, with so little resource and power consumption relative to a mains cleaner. It's a major improvement over the direct drive cleaner head, and operates at 100 watts relative to the previous 50 watts. It really feels like a solid piece of tech when you use it. There's also very little vibration and noise. I've already shown in the second and fifth description videos that powerful agitation has no benefit for deep cleaning carpets and just adds noise. That chestnut myth has been fully debunked now. If you have delicate floors, the fluffy head provided in the UK release is gentle enough to avoid scratching. It famously gobbles up large particles and removes the finest dust at the same time. What's interesting now though is that the torque drive motor head is so advanced that many probably wouldn't find a need for this otherwise amazing fluffy cleaner head, and is probably why it's been dropped as standard in the US release. It's a pity really, because it's such a great tool, but it's becoming less and less relevant given that the new main head duplicates its functionality. Those who appear to hate the Dyson brand and favour old-fashioned bagged and mains power cleaners who've tried a V11 and scraped the barrel for things to fault tend to complain about changing these heads as though it's a big hassle. Apparently, they don't complain about having to plug in or change sockets or change bags and so on, which makes no sense. You can just stick with the main head if it's a problem. There's still no sign of an electrically powered tangle-free turbine tool on cordless cleaners yet. That was a very popular tool on their final mains power cleaners, so it's a mystery why it hasn't made an appearance yet. The V10 was quiet, especially compared to the wretched noise of some really awful mains cleaners out there that are wrongly touted to be good, as shown in my Kirby review in the second description link. They've improved that even more with the V11. They've somehow managed to muffle the sound of the relatively quiet motor even more, and so it sounds like it's under a pillow now. All the harsher tones seem to have been blotted out, and it's so much more pleasant on the ear. The sound intensity levels for each mode, measured at a distance of 1 meter, are shown, and contrasted with those of the V10. In the default auto mode, when on carpet and working harder, the noise, with the brush bar active, is about 50% quieter than the V10 in its default mode 2 with the head operating. This is one of the most silent vacuums I've ever used, which is all the more impressive given how extremely well it cleans. Unlike the worst of the old-fashioned cleaners out there, you can actually hold a normal conversation while this thing's on. Dyson is famed for its industry-leading cyclonic filtration. The V11 still leads with this. Cyclonic filtration is a vacuum cleaning miracle because it acts as the primary method of separating dust from air. Like spinning water out of clothes in the washing machine, the air is spun at high speed, which flings the particles out of it, and they're dumped in the bin. Very little gets through to the filters, so they act as a last line of defense rather than a first, and so take a very long time to clog up to the level where they'd impair performance, which means less user maintenance hassle. On inferior competitor machines, those filters are a first line of defense, clog quickly, and need a lot of messy work to sort out. Rinsing the V11 filter is still recommended every month, but this is most likely to keep odours down if you suffer from that problem, if you have pets for example. I'll talk more about odours later. The air blows out of the side of the filters like a jet now, I noticed, relative to the V10. The filter cap twists on so much more gracefully now and feels very slick. Rinsing is fairly straightforward, as Dyson show in their help videos. On the V11, you can still accidentally turn the machine on when the bin's open. I'm really surprised they haven't fixed this. If you do that, you suck fine dust and dirt from the internal cyclone discharge chamber right onto the filter you might have just rinsed and dried. I'm demonstrating the problem here when it's new out of the box to avoid caking my filter. A lot of Dyson brand haters didn't realise, or possibly did, that this was the cause of their dirty filters, and peddled the myth that the Dyson cyclones didn't work properly, which was simply false and was actually user error. The easy way to avoid the problem is to put your finger along the side when emptying so you don't accidentally press the trigger. It's easier than taking the filter out, which does actually prevent the machine from turning on. Unlike old-fashioned bag cleaners or cheap knockoff cordless clones by weak competitors, the V11 bin emptying process is messless, costless, and takes about 5 seconds when you do it correctly. In fact, to help minimise smells, I recommend you empty it after every use, given how easy it is, as I've got into the habit of doing. There are no costly bags to buy and install, as discussed in the 6th link in the description. There's no mess when emptying, if you do it correctly, as discussed in the 7th link. And I did notice that compared to the V10, the slider mechanism is so much smoother and slicker. It feels so much more highly refined and exquisitely made. You don't need as much force to open it once you press the red handle, and it shuts properly too when you push it closed. On the V10, on rare occasions, the latch wouldn't click, and it could slide open in use and cause the filter to clog with dirt. The red rubber squeegee, which scrapes the shroud of dirt when you empty, now has a textured surface, which may have assisted in these improvements. Problems here can usually be traced, once again, back to user error. Some people wipe the metal shroud with a damp cloth, which you don't ever really need to do, and if you do, it should be a dry cloth. The wet cloth removes all the lubricating action of the dust that's in the bin, meaning the squeegee becomes sticky and makes it harder to open. Don't wet wipe the shroud. All the minor niggles with the bin emptying on the V10 seem to have been addressed now on the V11. This thing is tested to death and is highly durable. It's very unlikely something will break under normal responsible use. As is normal for any product, there is the odd report of a minor failure here and there. In the case of the V11, reports have conveniently only so far come from those who deeply despise the Dyson brand, so who knows what they did to cause it. This hasn't stopped the propaganda from flowing though. But in general, there is no evidence of the V11 being anything short of a highly durable piece of kit that shouldn't cause any trouble. My V10 never had a single issue. It's worth pointing out that the customer service of Dyson products under warranty, and even outside of it, is exceptional, especially compared to the competition. Even those haters who suffered problems on their V11 couldn't deny how well they were treated after sales. As with any high-end product, there are a few minor niggles. I'm not going to raise petty non-issues like is often seen by focusing on cost or the lengthy battery recharge time, or something that doesn't really get noticed during normal use, and is more of an on-paper numbers complaint. I've already mentioned that you can still turn it on with the bin open, so that's covered. The one tool clip only seems to have been designed for the crevice and combo tools, and you can't fit the dusting brush or mini turbine tool in there, which would have been really nice. I suspect this was to avoid the extra weight, which people would almost certainly have moaned about and blamed Dyson. You can actually fit the mini brush tool in backwards. It doesn't clip, but it can at least be carried around. Just be careful not to lift it above your head, otherwise it could slip out and smack you in the face. I'm sure someone will do that and then blame Dyson. Something else I noticed is that when you have the crevice and combo tool on the one clip, freeing up the wall dock sockets, you can't even fit the brush or mini turbine tools in there either. The brushes on the dusting tool get bent, and the mini brush head only just doesn't fit in. No one managed to point this out in other reviews on YouTube and the web. Not sure why Dyson didn't design this dock with more space for these larger tools. There are already plenty of myths being spread by propagandists about the V11 I just wanted to clear up. Firstly, the battery recharge time is now 4.5 hours, up from 3.5. This is not only due to using a bigger battery with more charge, but to be gentle on the battery itself, to extend its service lifetime and reduce the chance of failures. It's worth pointing out that a 4.5 hour recharge time for over an hour of cleaning at a power greater than provided by competitor products is still less than the 6 to 7 hour recharge time it takes to charge the double batteries those competitors make you buy to get the same runtime. Naysayers don't seem to mention that for some reason. The reality is, you simply don't ever see the full recharge time because you rarely use all the battery in one sitting, and it's always on the wall charging anyway, ready for use when you need it. Don't let people mislead you. I've already addressed the myth about needing 2 batteries or being able to swap. One thing I will add though, is that some out there are suggesting you need to buy an entirely new machine if the battery fails. This is a complete lie, and you can easily replace the battery. It's held in with a screw rather than being hot swappable with a clip. Batteries are polluting and expensive, so if you can do it with one, then all the better, and only Dyson have achieved that feat. Propagandists left with nothing else, given how good the V11 is, are also complaining about the warranty length of 2 years. It's misleadingly implied that this is the expected lifetime of the machine. This is false. Mechanically, the V11 is unlikely to fail for about 10 years at least. The battery tech is still lithium-ion and is therefore vulnerable to all issues associated with that technology. But look at mobile phones, it's rare. 2 years for a warranty is determined from complex statistical analysis of failure rates. It's still unlikely to fail in that time, and an out-of-warranty replacement is just 50 quid, so perfectly affordable in the unlikely event of a longer-term, rare failure. It's all just a non-issue. The trigger can't be locked on. Some people claim they want this and argue it's because their hand gets tired. I've just never bought that. It's a feather touch trigger, and you don't need to squeeze it with any force. Just holding the machine normally activates it, so there's no need to grip hard. The trigger is a really important feature because it means you can very easily turn it off when you move around. This on-off approach is only doable on Dyson cordless cleaners because they have the ultra-fast spin-up motors which instantly start, rather than the inferior competitors using old-fashioned heavy conventional motors that take ages to turn on and make that kind of use impractical. Dyson have shown that by being efficient and only keeping it on when needed, you can squeeze about 30% more cleaning time from the battery charge. You also let the battery cool and significantly increase its service lifetime. Again, it's all down to being a smart user, and many seem to struggle. Some of the less respectable channels are suggesting that the filters will need replacing and they're expensive. This is pure propaganda by Dyson brand haters. The filter is a lifetime filter and should never need replacing unless it's been abused by not following the manual and simply rinsing it underwater. The reason why they're expensive is likely to deliberately deter the false economy that dodgy vacuum repair shops and the like try to create by selling things unnecessarily to make a bit of money at the expense of what they consider a dumb customer. You should never need to buy a new one. Don't put them in the washer or dryer. If you want it drying fast, let a cool fan blow in it to ventilate. You also shouldn't use soap or washing powder because some have chemicals which can block the ultrafine pores of the HEPA filter and stop it working. There's a myth that still being visually stained after rinsing impairs performance. This is completely false. Some other misleading channels also claim that filter performance drops with time, but never formally evidence it. That doesn't even make sense because poor filter performance means it lets dust through, and thus more air. But they're suggesting it blocks up, and thus actually filters better, which is contradictory. Don't be fooled by them or conned out of your money. The V11 filter is a lifetime filter and never ever needs replacing, despite what anyone says, providing you follow the simple instructions and rinse with water every so often, just as the manual says. One of the great things about this machine is that you pay once, and it has no running costs for its whole lifetime of at least 10 years with care, and therefore pays for itself relative to some bagged machines which have high running costs. One final comment about the filters concerns odours. All vacuum cleaners can suffer from odour problems, and the main cause is from sucking up smelly material, usually organic stuff from pets. It all concentrates in the bin, so emptying that is the main way to stop smells, followed by monthly filter rinsing. I've discussed all this in the video in the 8th description link. You'll always have smells if you suck up smelly material on any vacuum, so don't be fooled by propagandists trying to paint this as an issue only with the V11. I hope you enjoyed this review, and thanks for watching.